A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant legal showdown on Wednesday, the U.S. Supreme Court appeared poised to issue a ruling that could further undermine the Voting Rights Act of 1965, a cornerstone of the civil rights movement. This law, once celebrated as a triumph for minority voting rights, has faced increasing challenges in recent years, particularly since a pivotal 2013 decision by the court that weakened its provisions. The latest case centers around Louisiana's congressional redistricting map, which has become a focal point for ongoing debates about race and representation in American politics. The Supreme Court's conservative majority, including Chief Justice John Roberts, seemed to suggest a willingness to raise the standards for challenging voting maps under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. This section has become a crucial tool for minority voters seeking to ensure equitable representation in the electoral process. In Louisiana, where approximately 30% of the population is black, the state legislature had previously agreed to create a second majority black congressional district following a court ruling that found the original map diluted black voting power. However, the situation took a turn when a group of self-identified non-African American voters intervened, arguing that the creation of this second majority-minority district was unconstitutional. During the 2-hour oral arguments, Deputy Solicitor General Hashim Mupan claimed that if the voters were all white, they would not have been granted a second district, suggesting that race should not play a role in the redistricting process. The court's liberal justices, however, pushed back against this notion, emphasizing that the Voting Rights Act is designed to counteract the effects of racial polarization in voting. Justice Sonia Sotomayor highlighted the stark reality of voting patterns in Louisiana, where over 84% of white voters typically do not support black candidates. This raises significant questions about the implications of race in political representation and whether the court's conservative justices are prepared to disregard the realities of racial voting dynamics. Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who previously cast a decisive vote to uphold Section 2, appeared to entertain the idea of modifying the standards for proving a violation of this section. He questioned whether there should be a time limit on the use of race in redistricting, suggesting a potential shift towards limiting race-based remedies in the electoral process. This perspective aligns with the Trump administration's stance, which has urged the court to tighten the criteria for proving unlawful vote dilution under Section 2. The implications of this case extend far beyond Louisiana. A ruling in favor of the state could set a precedent that would weaken the protections afforded to minority voters nationwide, potentially dismantling the framework established to combat racial discrimination in voting. The legal battle over Louisiana's congressional map is emblematic of a broader struggle for voting rights in America, as lawmakers grapple with the balance between race and representation. As the arguments unfolded, it became clear that the stakes are high. Louisiana's current congressional map, featuring 4 majority white districts and 2 majority black districts, is under scrutiny. The court's decision could reshape the landscape of political representation in the state and beyond, potentially affecting how congressional districts are drawn in the future. The legal fight began in 2022, when Louisiana Republicans drew new district lines following the 2020 census, resulting in a map that critics argued marginalized black voters. After a judge ruled in favor of the challengers, the state legislature was compelled to create a new map that included a second majority-minority district. However, the recent intervention by the non-African American voters has thrown the legitimacy of this map into question, prompting a re-evaluation of the role of race in redistricting. With the Supreme Court's conservative majority appearing open to limiting the influence of race in the drawing of voting districts, advocates for minority voting rights are bracing for a potentially devastating ruling. The outcome of this case could reverberate throughout the nation, impacting the ability of minority voters to elect their preferred candidates and shaping the future of voting rights in America. As the justices deliberate, the nation watches closely, aware that the fate of the Voting Rights Act and the representation of minority communities hangs in the balance. The decision, expected in the coming months, will not only affect Louisiana but could also set a precedent that influences voting rights and electoral representation across the United States for years to come. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.